But his his yards per carry is really good. Last year wasn't too stellar. He was at about 3.9 with about a 7.0 yards per reception. But before that, he was at 4.5, 4.3, 4.3. So he's been at consistently about 4.3 yards a clip. If you compare that over to Jerome Ford, looking at Jerome Ford, he's 24 years old, much younger. He's a guy that's been in the building that the Browns drafted. What's good with y'all, man? It's your boy Will back with another video, and today we're gonna get into another interesting video topic. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are having a good Thursday. Well, you actually be seeing this Wednesday. I hope you guys having a good Wednesday. Hope you guys doing good. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button, man. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on X. Shout out to brand if you can. And of course, always subscribe here. But today I wanted to get into an interesting topic and an interesting debate. Originally coming into this video, I was under the assumption that Jerome Ford days is numbered. Foreman probably take his role, and Foreman is probably the better running back. But now that I'm looking at it, I do think Jerome Ford can still be the lead back of this team. And I don't know how I necessarily feel about that. Looking at Foreman's numbers, man. Let's go over it. So Foreman, he is, 28 years old. Played 9 games in 2023, 17 games in 2022, 9 games in 2021, 6 games in 2020, 1 game in 2018, and 10 games in 2017. Not too promising, man. Not too promising. But his yards per carry is really good. Last year wasn't too stellar. He was at about 3.9. With about a 7.0 yards per reception. But before that, he was at 4.5, 4.3, 4.3. So he's been at consistently about 4.3 yards a clip. If you compare that over to Jerome Ford, looking at Jerome Ford, he's 24 years old, much younger. He's a guy that's been in the building that the Browns drafted, and he played all 17 games last year. 2022, he had about 13 games, only had about 8 attempts. But he came out, in the 2024 year and had 4 yards a clip. Now, the 4 yards a clip isn't that promising. I will say that. But we got to kind of go underneath. He also did have a 7.3 yards per reception. So if we're just comparing it off of last season alone, he was a better running back. He was more consistent, and he was more reliable than Foreman. So originally when I came into this video, I was under the assumption that, Foreman was brought here to be the guy that's going to be the lead back while Nick Chubb is out. But now looking at it, man, with Jerome Ford kind of already being in the building, I think Foreman, instead of being assumed as the guy that's going to take over for Jerome Ford, I think Ford, he wasn't really healthy towards the end of the season last year. He had a lot of big time plays. He finished the year with, how many touchdowns did he get? 5? Finished the year with 5 touchdowns. I'm pretty sure he had 1 receiving touchdown in there and 1 rushing touchdown. But besides that, and outside of that, he had a lot of big time plays. He had to play against Pittsburgh. Big time breakaway play. He had to play against the Colts. Big time breakaway play. He had to play against the Jets. Big time breakaway play. Jerome Ford has a lot of potential still. If he could just see the field a little bit better, and maybe his health with him being back out there, I think he can definitely go out there and demand it to be his job to lose until Nick Chubb gets back, and then he has to get over and give over the rightfully the keys to the car and give it back to Pops, Nick Chubb, the GOAT. Nick, we almost got Nick back, y'all. I do think Nick Chubb gonna mess around and be back by like week 2, week 3. So I mean, if anything, like this kind of can be irrelevant. I mean, if you want to honestly be real with you, if you want me to be real with you guys about it, because hypothetically, like say Nick Chubb beats Nick Chubb and comes back week 2, week 3, and comes back quicker than what people assume. Then Nick Chubb gets back, you working Nick Chubb in. How important is Jerome Ford? You know, you got him for one game against the Cowboys. You could just not run the ball that game. Say Nick Chubb comes back week 2. And then you intermediate Ford with Chubb, with Foreman. Say you running the ball about what? You want to say about, what, like 22 times? Running the ball about 22 times. With running the ball about 22 times. Say you get Chubb, 8 carries, Ford 8 carries, and, you know, Foreman 6, or how you want to do it. You know, I feel like that's still going to be the best way to do it. Or you can, you know, do 8-8, give Ford 6, or give Chubb 6, however you want to work them in and work everybody back. So this might not be too big of a deal. You know, a lot of people are worried, but, you know, if Nick Chubb just simply returns and comes back, which all signs is indicating that he is going to be able to return from this pretty quick. Not pretty quick, but sooner than what I expected. I said originally, like, hey, the bye week. But now, ever since some of the trackers and news came out, it's more evident that he's going to be back before probably the Eagles game. So with that being said, if you're going to get Nick Chubb around that time anyway, whoever is the RB2 might not be that important, but it's good having a guy like Jerome Ford who has that home run mentality and that home run play ability where he could go out there and he could take a guy and he could break a tackle and go for 70 yards. You know, break a tackle and off a pass catch and go for 45 yards into a touchdown like we've seen against the Jets. So I think it's still a lot of potential and promise there with Jerome Ford. He's the youngest guy in the room, only 24 years old, man. In his 3rd year as a running back, really still young, man. I think he got all the potential in the world if he could just get a little bit more consistent with everything and see the field a little bit better. I think Deontay Foreman, on the other hand, would really just serve as an insurance policy if Jerome Ford doesn't develop. If Jerome Ford doesn't develop, you can throw out a Deontay Foreman. My biggest concern with him, though, is his health. If you look at him, he only started 8 games last year. 9 games the year before that, 3 games the year before that, and then 0, 0, and 1. You know, only had about 425 rushing yards. 2022, he had about 914, almost half of 1,000 yard rushing yard with only starting 9 games, but he did that pretty much being a backup running back. So as the number 2, having about 914 yards, pretty good. If you can get that type of production out of him, or do you think Jerome Ford can just get about 70 more rushing yards? Because Jerome Ford was at that pace at the age of 24. He was, 40 or so rushing yards off. Not to mention, you know, the first game of the year, he didn't really get that a lot of many snaps just because, you know, Nick Chubb was there. He didn't really start getting a lot of snaps until, week 3, maybe if that. So it's all going to be dependent on that. I do think it's Jerome Ford's job to lose. You guys comment down below how y'all feel about it, man. Yeah, I think Deontay Foreman will just serve as like just another guy. I think we might miss Kareem Hunt in the goal line situation. Nick Chubb isn't the best goal line back, neither is Jerome Ford. So we might miss Kareem Hunt in that scenario. Maybe Deontay Foreman can replace Kareem Hunt's role. But other than that, it's your boy Will, man. You guys have a blessed one. Hope y'all having a great Wednesday, man. I really appreciate all the love and support I get, even if it's none or little at all. I'm out. Peace.